We're Hassani and Danielle Pettiford, and we're a real couple with real problems who almost called it quits.
I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold.
We have 4 children, going on 20 years of marriage, and we practice what we preach.
Our mission, to change the way couples relate to one another and teach them the skills needed to improve the quality of their relationships. This is the Couples Academy Show.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Couples Academy Show. My name is Hassani.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Lakeisha. I'm Lakeisha Hines.
That's what I like. I like how you guys get in there. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Welcome, everyone. This is Relationship Q&A. This is Friday. And so if you have a question, we want you to chat or text us at 678-200-8996. But whether you're on Facebook, whether you are on YouTube, post your questions. As you know, we've been going long. We cannot do that today. So we want to hit your questions at the top of the hour. Just a few quick announcements. Last Chance Weekend coming up December 10th through the 12th. We're all sold out for November, but we have space and availability for you in December. Would love for you to be there. Also, starting on Monday, we will be going to 2 shows a day. The evening show will be called Couples Academy Ask the Experts. It'll be 9 p.m. on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So we're excited about that show. We're excited that you'll be hearing more from Lakeisha and Jeff, as well as many of our other practitioners to provide you with information that will be transformational to your relationship. Also, we have a new hotline, guys. So if you are in need of help, text "Help Me" to 866-351-2520. Help me, one word, to 866-351-2520, and we will do our best to get to you. Listen, I just want to say good morning to some of the viewers. Jackie, Vashawn, Sean, good to see you. Christy, Francisco, Jesse, Darren, and all of those who watch on the recast. Let's jump into a conversation. We were just talking offline about people who want their relationship. They want to hold on to their marriage, but they have an unrepentant heart and they're not willing to change. And so in essence, they're expecting their spouse to show up for more of the same bad behavior, more of the same relational patterns, and don't get why their spouse isn't willing to do that. So let's talk about that while we're waiting for these questions. What do you think the struggle is with people who stay stuck in being how they've always been, but yet want their spouse to hang on and to hold on to what doesn't work?
My main thing is fear. I mean, there are multiple reasons, but I think one of the biggest reasons is fear. It's fear of the unknown, fear of being hurt, fear of being vulnerable, fear of it not being enough, fear of them not being able to honor the commitments that they made.
I see it as a lack of just pure commitment. Just the whole idea, the fear of commitment is huge in this world. Everybody likes to ride the fence. And you know what the Bible says about riding the fence. You're either hot or you're cold, lukewarm, and I'll spit you out of my mouth. And so our lives live literally in chaos because we live these lukewarm lives, not committing to anything, not committing to our bodies, not committing to our minds, not committing to our relationships, not committing to what we say we want. And this fear of commitment is destroying the very foundation of the home, the family, everything.
So you're saying not just a commitment to the marriage, but their lack of commitment to being their best selves. Gotcha. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you both, because you deal with couples and individuals all the time. Do you find that most people, even throughout the process, I get the first initial session, we have a tendency of pointing our finger at our spouse. But throughout the course of working with people, do you find that they struggle to take, personal accountability, personal responsibility, and continue to pass off issues on their spouse?
Yeah. I believe it's not even an issue of personal accountability. I think it's understanding that ultimately in our lives, regardless of the governments and the society and the conditions and the financial situations, regardless of all of those things, that ultimately the ultimate responsibility for the outcomes in your life, maybe not what has already happened, but from the moment you're aware of this forward, is that ultimate responsibility for your outcomes resolves only in you, and no fingers can be pointed at anybody for anything at any time. This does not necessarily mean it's your fault, but it is your responsibility. And when I use that word responsibility, I mean you having the ability to respond in a way that generates the outcome of your desires and an outcome that's positive for both you and your family.
Lakeisha, what are your thoughts?
I 100% agree with that. I want to add on to it, though, that one of the things that I discuss with clients all the time is that you cannot control anything that your spouse does. The only person you can control is yourself. You are only responsible for yourself. And when we're specifically talking about infidelity, which we do a lot here, when we're talking about infidelity, one of the biggest things to try to get couples to understand is that for the betrayer, there is nothing that your spouse did that made you cheat. It was a conscious decision. You chose to do it. And for the betrayed, it's hard because the first thing that they do when they find out is they immediately go inside, they go internal, and they start doing this investigation and analysis. Is there something I could have done differently? What did I do wrong? Wasn't I giving my spouse? Then they start feeling insecure and all those different things. But I have to tell them, listen, you're not responsible for what they did. You're only responsible for yourself. But you do also have to think about, what did you do to contribute to that level of vulnerability that left them open to even entertain something from someone else? So
Yeah,
there's
those are
still an
micro.
individual accountability that we all must have. So we do have to take responsibility for our own actions, and we have to get real with ourselves. And a lot of times couples don't want to do that. They don't want to look at themselves. And I get, in the beginning, it's hurt, it's pain, and all of those things. And it will prevent you sometimes. You get fog on your glasses and you can't see clearly because you're in pain and you're hurt. But once you're able to clear some of the fog, you should be able to identify areas of opportunity for yourself that you need to work on, that if you do, it can help strengthen that relationship, as long as the spouse is doing their individual work and working on themselves.
Based upon what you're saying, Clancy asked the question, is someone still responsible for the relationship after being cheated on and lied to?
Yes.
Both people are responsible. So, see, I completely understand where Lakeisha's come from. They're not responsible for the actual cheating, but there are a lot of little micro betrayals that happen. I've talked to couples where both the husband or the wife have completely shut down sexually, and it doesn't just translate to sex, because it's not just the physical act; it's the affection, the bond, where like you always talk about going to the business of relationship but don't have a relationship. And a lot of times there can be I've seen situations where, the betrayer is 1000% responsible. They've just got some kind of itch that they've got to scratch because they're living off of instinct, primal instinct, and not being responsible in life. They're still running around life as a child. But I've also seen where someone was left out in the cold, reaching out, trying hard to try to find a connection. They don't always have the tools. They don't always know what they're doing, but they've been rejected at every pass and every turn. And there's this desire to just have someone reach out and hold them, someone. And that will oftentimes end up being either an emotional or a physical affair.
Great point. Go ahead, Lakeisha.
I had a conversation with someone last night who actually was the affair partner. And he was talking about how he had slept with these women that were of high stature, and they had no desire to leave their spouses, none whatsoever. But they needed to feel valued, appreciated, loved, supported. They needed emotional support. And they opened the door to a friendship, which that's how it started. And eventually, which we know most times that leads to sex. And that's exactly what happened. And he said, look, I clearly understood my role in this. I didn't want a relationship. I wasn't trying to be with this person. I literally knew that there was a need that needed to be met. I had a need that needed to be met, and we met each other's needs. And it's just as simple as that. But the reason why, to your point, Jeff, that happened was that those two women that he referenced, There was something missing in those relationships where they had been reaching out to their husbands, crying out for help, crying out for love and attention and affection, and just weren't getting it.
Wow. Powerful point, Lakeisha. Grant says, do you think the pass on both ends is what caused cheating? I don't understand the question. I don't get it. So if you could rephrase that question, I'll address it. But I'm going to go to Christy in the meantime. Christy says, mine says, I guess that means my spouse, I'm living in the now, showing how committed I am now. What he doesn't understand is he's acting the same way he did while he was having the affair. It can't be gone around it, must go through. Okay.
She's right.
She is.
1000%, Christy. Like, at the end of the day, you're right. What he has to understand is he can't just make a decision not to cheat.
Right.
He has to work on becoming a man who's different than the one he was before.
Yeah.
See, a lot of us want, some kind of surgical cutout. This ain't like liposuction. You've got to act, and even liposuction. If you don't change your eating habits, you're going to end up right back where you were.
Yeah.
So, and you may try diets and you may try things, but it's a fear of commitment. If we don't become our best selves, if we don't work on us and try to advance, in running water, and the world is like flowing, like time is flowing all the time. In running water, there is no standing still.
Yeah, I definitely. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to say, you swim with the current or you swim against the current.
No, I definitely agree with that. And one of the things that I tell my clients all the time is you should be seeing behavioral changes. That's what you're looking for, because when the emotional, when the triggers come up, or like, I call them porno pop-ups, when those happen and you are in those moments where you're like, I don't know if I made the best decision to stay here. One of the things that I'm encouraging them to do is look at the behavior. Okay, are they doing the things that you've asked for? Are they giving you attention? Yes. Are they spending time with you? Yes. Are they giving you affection? Yes. Are they talking to you different? Yes. Are they showing you the phone whenever you ask to see the phone? Yes. Okay. So then what are we talking about?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, the reality is, for most people don't divorce because of infidelity. And we've said this before. It's how people choose to show up or refuse to show up after the discovery of the affair, which will determine whether they can do this anymore. Because to her point, you know what? Fine. The only thing that has changed are the circumstances you were involved in. You're no longer in an affair, but you're the same old you. You got the same old patterns, the same old deception, the same old behaviors, all these different things. And to your point, Lakeisha, when they're doing everything right, to your point, they have access to technology. They're given time, care, attention, love. It's not, which is very important. It's not just focusing on the right thing to do, but it's also focusing on no longer doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Because you could do all the right things and continue to do the wrong things, and any wrong thing you do will cancel out all the right things that you have done. So you can't, it's almost like, the scripture says you can't serve two masters. You can't have it both ways. You can't be doing what's necessary to keep your spouse, but still hanging on to old patterns and behaviors and relationships and connections that compromise the integrity of your relationship. So it's a comprehensive approach that the person must take to get to a better place. Myro, if I'm saying that correctly, says affairs are not about the sex. I would say, and I want you all to weigh in on this, I think it is and it isn't. I think you're right. I think you're partially right. For some, it is not about it. This, we say this all the time. Infidelity doesn't begin in the bedroom, unless it's a one-night stand, a prostitute or something like that. But typically, it doesn't begin in the bedroom. It ends in the bedroom. We've transitioned from transactional affairs to relational affairs. And over the course of time, chemistry is developed. Now we're having conversations. There's a connection, there's chemistry, and it manifests into the sex. But for affairs, it's more about desirability than about sex, oftentimes. But sex is a major component of that affair. What do you guys say?
Yeah, I see it as a form of sex is a form of sedation. Okay, so when we have an unfulfilled need, whenever we're like really busy and all into our stuff, we don't have time for sex anyway, right? So I mean, you make time for it, right? You try to find little places that you can squeeze things in. But at the end of the day, like when you're all in on anything in life, when you're all in on your relationship, you guys are doing things way beyond sex. Even in the relationship, it culminates in sex. It doesn't begin in sex. That passion, that fire is burning because you have an experience together. And I think what dies in the relationship is having the ability to create those new experiences. We live our lives from one aha moment to the next. One thing that makes us say, wow. One thing that makes us stop back and reflect. One thing that makes us surprised. One thing that's brand new, that's a new experience. We live for those chills. And those chills, when they start to get closer and closer together, life is blissful. When they start moving further and further apart, and then you add pain in between, and there's more pain than there is bliss, then what ends up happening is we fall apart. And what we've got to look to do is, this is why bettering yourself is so important. Is we have to create those experiences that makes us say wow in our own personal lives, so that we can bring that wow back to our relationships.
Yes. Listen, Lakeisha, I want you to weigh in on this. Sean says, how do you release the anger you feel towards the affair partner? Do you contact them and speak your feelings? Or is there other ways, especially if you're not a confrontational person?
I am most times, I can't even think of a time where I would say, yes, reach out to the affair partner. Because I always feel like it's between you and your spouse. So for me, I don't see the benefit of reaching out to the affair partner unless they are just refusing to leave. They're refusing to go away. They refuse to stop contacting your spouse. I mean, to me, and even then, I still feel like whoever cheated with that person needs to handle it. But yeah, no, yes, you can forgive them. You have to forgive them. You cannot hold on to unforgiveness. That turns to bitterness and resentment and anger, and it's a cancer that spreads and you can't contain it. And then what happens is that spews out into every other area of your life. Now you suck as an employee. You are not being patient with your kids. You are lashing out at your spouse. You're just angry all the time. And then you look in the mirror and realize this is not the person who you are, nor is it the person that you want to be. So yes, you can forgive. Yes, you can get past it. Do I think you should talk to them? No. I think that that's a matter between you and your spouse that you guys need to handle. Because to me, it's never really about the affair partner in the first place. It's
And you
about what's
risk
going on
entanglement.
within your marriage.
You also risk entanglement, getting sucked into a game
Yes.
that you
Yes.
may not know all the pieces on the board that this person, if this person does have a,
Hmm.
they can angle you in a way that makes you
Yeah.
reject them. They get what they want out of it.
Yep.
Like you have no idea what the intention is on the other side. I could see it if there was a surprised person who was angry at the person because they didn't know that they were married and they flipped out, and you had a conversation quickly about that and you both went your separate ways. I get that. But if this person knew that they were married, you're playing with fire.
Let's go to the next question. Grant says, do you think a spouse cheats because of what he or she been through in past relationships, so he or she don't know how to be faithful? I think that can be a contributing factor. I think
Yeah.
there are a variety of reasons for why people do what they do. Some people haven't healed from past hurts, past pains, idiosyncrasies, inconsistencies, contradiction, faults, and flaws that they bring now into that current relationship based upon unresolved issues of their past. We've seen how people have suffered the residue of previous relationships that didn't go well. This is why we say there's three relationships you have: the one with God, the one with yourself, the one with your spouse. If you haven't gone through a he-tox or a she-tox, getting that other partner out of your system, and there's still residue and pain and trust issues and bad behaviors from the past, you're the lowest common denominator. You will bring your hurtful self into every new relationship.
Yeah.
And you could
Yeah.
potentially hurt your present partner based upon issues of the past. So yes, that can definitely be a contributing factor amongst a variety of other things.
Agreed.
All right, there it is. Let's see. Boom, 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 boom. All right. Now we have DWW. My spouse's treatment of me got worse after the affair was discovered, and he doesn't quite understand the added trauma that came following the discovery. Yeah, you know what? The discovery phase is the most volatile phase. It is the most emotional phase. And whether it is a woman who cheated on a man or a man who cheated on the woman, the betrayed spouse typically catches it and they go through a season of hell. It's a very turbulent time because there's a lot. I mean, I think you all can weigh in on this. It's not, it's not just what I'm experiencing with my clients. Would you not agree that the initial discovery or that discovery phase, whether it's a couple of days, couple of weeks, couple of months, if they're not getting help, couple of years, is a very painful season and dark time in their marriage?
She added, additionally, he attributes his behavior to childhood trauma, but won't make the commitment to consistently address it with a professional. I have something for that. It's not always just a professional. Sometimes you're going to have to be the investigator and find out the professional. See, most people will listen to who has already achieved what they want and has come from a situation that they've come from. Okay. This is just how we function. This is why stars are stars. We kind of create these fantasies around them that aren't always true. But he may not be willing to just talk to anyone, but I guarantee you there is someone he will talk to. So what you got to do is find a counselor, if possible, that is in a position that he would be covetous of. Not necessarily in a negative way covetous, but just in a way that he would desire to be, someone that he would respect. And I'm telling you, men will talk. I've watched them turn into babbling babies in 5 minutes in a room when they're actually able to let themselves go and be free. But establishing that comfort zone, those things on the wall back there, they don't mean anything to the guy. What it means is there has to be a bond. There has to be some kind of feeling like he's part of a pack, part of a tribe, something that he wants to achieve in order to do it. That's what draws him to sports. That's what draws him to anything else that he's attracted to. It's just this camaraderie between men that happens. We see it in women very naturally, but a lot of the times women don't necessarily notice that men need that same bonding.
Discovery phase is awful. It sucks. There's no way to put that. It's awful. There's so much anger. And we know most times it's really hurt that's presenting as anger. But there's so much hurt and pain there. They don't know what to do. They can't contain it. They're confused. They don't know, should I stay? Should I go? Some days I want you to make love to me. Some days I want to scratch your eyes out. Like it's all over the place. The emotions are all over the place. And without connecting with someone who is a professional, it can get out of hand. It can get volatile. It can get violent, physically violent, verbally violent, mentally, spiritually. It wreaks havoc in a relationship. And I do feel like all of the stages are difficult, but by far this one is like the top worst.
And most people tap out in this stage because there was an unwillingness on both or one of the partner's parts to get the help they needed. And they thought there's no hope left. Like we can't get beyond this pain. This would be a perpetual reality for the rest of our days. And it doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be that way. There's so many people who are in a recovered space who look back at that season and say, it was dark, but there was a light at the end of the tunnel. And because we didn't know how to get through it, we had to find somebody who can guide us. And that's exactly why we are here. That's exactly why Lakeisha and Jeff and so many others coming up sacrificed their time to be with you, to let you know that there is hope, that there is life after an affair, that you can have a better marriage after the discovery of the affair than what you had before, because the affair actually shines a light on what's going wrong inside of you or what's going on inside of the relationship that needs to be fixed. And so that's why we're here. So if that's you and you need help, look at that text at the bottom. Text "help me," one word, to 866-351-2520. Francisco says, how do you survive the guilt being the guilty one? Right? So it's not just what your spouse puts you through, it's what you're going through, the shame and the guilt that you face because of what you have done. Speak to it.
Oh, Jeff wants this one.
So, how does a lobster grow? Why do you care how a lobster grows? Well, a lobster is a very soft tissue animal that lives in a very hard shell exterior that's there to protect him, but that shell doesn't grow. When you move but what happens is it moves into a place where it's uncomfortable. So it brings itself under a rock it sheds that shell where it's safe, and it starts to build a new one. And it does that over and over and over and over again. So what you're going to have to do to get beyond the guilt is become something new. You're going to have to shed the shell of the person that you are right now, even though you may have stopped the behaviors that cause the pain. That doesn't mean you've become a new person and found your own excitement in life. A lot of times we create the pain because we haven't done the work to expand and grow ourselves. Because when you're growing yourself, you want nothing but to share that with your family and your legacy. Okay. So I'm going to say that you probably need some time to pull aside and work on this, creating this new idea of who you want to become, and work on that. You can do that in a space on your own if you feel strong enough, but I will also encourage you to find someone, a counselor, a coach, someone who can help you with that, who has done that in a way that you find as marvelous. You can find that in books. You look at someone else who has what you want, whether it's in books or in a person, and they can work with you one-on-one to help you become that new being that you want to create.
All right, 4 minutes. We have questions. We need bullet answers so we can get through as many as possible. Tyrone says, my wife says she wants a divorce after 1 year of the discovery. We tried to work it out, but it was one-sided. Should I let it go? Been married for 3 years. Quick answer.
I would ask her if you tried to work it out, because a lot of times our working it out is just saying, I'm sorry is not good enough.
Well, he said they tried to work it out, and it seems like she's not willing. It takes both parties. You can't do it alone. So if she's not willing to stay and do the work, I don't see how it can work.
And who's not doing the work? Is it you? Is it the spouse? Like we need more clarity. But that goes to this next point. Hi, how many times, how repeatedly, and for how long of a period should the betrayer apologize and show remorse to the betrayed partner?
Apologize with your actions, not with your words. It'll be deeper felt.
I think for as long as you can handle it. I mean, as long as you can stand it. If you betrayed their trust, and we don't know how long it went on, we don't know the details or whatever, but if you want the marriage, you're willing to do what it takes to make it work, however long it takes.
Yeah, I agree. Grant says, I feel no matter if you're getting married or already married, everyone should have some counseling first. It's important because hurt lives is in everyone from a past, my opinion. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I 100% agree.
Nice.
I
Yeah,
100%
absolutely.
agree. Always get counseling before you get married.
Absolutely. Before, during, throughout. It should just be. And people think like, oh, I should only get counseling if there's a problem. Have you ever heard of preventative measures?
Right.
Have you ever heard of preventative medicine, right? You want to make sure that you're getting a dose before things go wrong so that you can stay in a good and healthy place.
If basketball teams played that way, look, you need a coach. You need someone to coach you through life. They can see things you can't see because you're on the court. Period.
Absolutely. Sean says, how do you help your young adult child, 18 years of age, get through trauma from the affair? I'm not going to answer that. I don't want anybody to answer that because I don't think a 30-second soundbite answer will solve that. This is what I'll do for you, Sean. We're going to talk about this as a topic. Yep. We're going to dedicate 30 minutes or even more to this question because this right here is huge. It's not just the betrayed spouse who's hurt and suffering. Listen, the children often face a double pain because when you cheat on your partner, you're also cheating on your family. So the child is directly impacted because they're seeing what one partner did to the other, but the child also carries the pain of the betrayed spouse, right? So I'm affected by what you did, but I also have a double hurt because of what I see my other parent going through. So we're going to take a comprehensive approach to that. Guys, I appreciate you. These have been phenomenal questions. Once again, before we end, I just want to say I am in Wisconsin. That is a picture that was taken this morning from the balcony. It is a beautiful place out here. We're here for the marriage retreat. If you're interested in being a part of it, it starts today. It's virtual. The link is in the description. Make sure you tune in starting next week in the evenings. We're going to be doing Ask the Experts every day, Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you spread the word. Guys, we appreciate you. Have an amazing weekend, and we will see you on Monday. Take care.
Hey, real quick,